Dear Jean, the entire David Lynch archive and all the vertical stripes in the world, even then, could not afford us such escape. French people love to make movies about their dreams that we Americans then use as backdrops for our fantasies, whether voluntary or not. I pull the tips of my index and middle finger towards my mouth and away several times. Nothing. Nature refuses to acknowledge me. I wait in a cafe and stare out the window, where I imagine my inverse self in a cafe across the street, also waiting and preparing for disappointment. And as much as I try to fight it, my inverse self is me at age 9, in a dress I'll wear for my 80th birthday, and then an elephant with a bad attitude and a photograph of a man that's talking and telling me that I can't go on, that I'll go on, and finally, a croissant dancing alone in negligee. We circle one another on a crowded street. I leave you a note telling you to meet me wherever it is that you thought of me last. You show up as your 67-year-old self, and worse, you're empty-handed, still wandering and hoping to convince me to visit my mother and 11-year-old self. In my dream, I'm 15 years old and working the Ferris wheel, and maybe you're 40 and successful doing business in China with all the money in the world, but it all comes back to you doing everything in your power to shut down this Ferris wheel in California. In my fantasy, tumbleweed blows around because I told it, dance, motherfucker, and the wind some guy picked up at a bar to do my dirty work. They'll call or they won't, and either way, a young girl with a flowy skirt jumps on a bed in an apartment on the 5th floor like a little girl. In 6 years, we walk past one another and mouth the word bouche, 100 small things in 100 seconds. And so for this next one, I had a dream about Lil Wayne last night. I was staying over at my aunt's house, and I was walking towards the doorway, and I see this guy trying to break in through one of the windows, and so I call him out on it. But in my mind, I know that it's Lil Wayne, but all his dreadlocks have been cut off, and rather than having curly hair, he has straight, really thick black hair, like teddy bear fur. So that's, it's like his whole head's just like teddy bear fur. And he's trying to break into my aunt's house, and he's wearing his wife beater and a beanie. And so I call him out on it, and then he looks at me and is like, and my understanding is, that unspoken understanding is now he's going to chase me so he can get into the house because I have the key. And so I'm running towards the door, and I'm able to close it enough that he gets his arm through. And so I give up, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let you in, but you gotta pull your arm out because I can't open the door. So he pulls his arm out, and then I lock the door. And so he's out there, and I'm safe from him. But then some exchange takes place, and this part gets blurry, but from there, I decide that I'm going to run away with him. So I go upstairs, and the last thing I remember, so that's the last I saw of Lil Wayne, but the last thing I remember was like, I got to find like a flattering bra, because I'm going to be like running away with Lil Wayne, and I want to look good for Lil Wayne, right? So anyways, the point is, I told myself that for this reading, I was only going to read new poems, and that's why I read a lot of poems that actually weren't really conducive to being performed, but because I wrote this poem for Lil Wayne, and because I had a Lil Wayne poem, I figured, or because I had a Lil Wayne dream, I figured it was fitting, so this one's for Lil Wayne. In an attempt to defend difficulty, you measure your intake against what you want to feel. After several times, you achieve onlyness, and you give a lecture on intention. When there's more, we can begin to be selective. You give in, and before ask for an explanation, you cop out. Everyone's got to sell something. Through a frame, your gaze is unwavering, and you offer yourself up completely. You picket mass against the masses, your palm curved open with the fingers forked over, as if this alone could argue smallness as absolute. And then one last one, which is really short. The part where Harrison Ford shrugs means it is what it is. We've never been so unsure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Vera, we'll finish this up.
Time, Brian. Never, Brian. Yes, Brian.